New week here on Anglia Tonight.
Well, first tonight, it seemed the perfect arrangement. They were working mums who shared a job, so they decided to share childcare too.
But police officers Leanne Shepherd and Lucy Jarrett from Buckinghamshire were shocked to find that by looking after each other's daughters, they were in fact breaking the law.
Leanne and Lucy were told they would have to register with Ofsted if they continued to share childminding. Now the government's to review their case, a case that could have implications for thousands of other parents. Neil Bradford has more.
Relying upon a close friend for childcare is something almost every parent has done. It's hard to imagine how such a simple arrangement could be against the law. But that's exactly what two Thames Valley police officers were told when they decided to look after each other's children. Detective Constables Leanne Shepherd from Milton Keynes and Lucy Jarrett from Buckingham job share, so it seemed to make perfect sense to share childcare too.
We needed something that would cover our long hours and flexibility, and we decided to work a job share so that we actually both share the same job. We work 40 hours between us, and we look after the children when the other one's at work.
Following an anonymous tip-off, an Ofsted inspector warned the pair they both faced prosecution if the arrangement continued.
We were both in a state of shock, to be honest. We're obviously concerned about our jobs, being told that we're breaking the law, we're going to face a prosecution. We're like, oh, you know, what's going to happen in relation to work, and also what we're going to do with our girl. Obviously, you know, we need to go back to work, we're in work, what are we going to do?
Ofsted says it's applying the law as set out in the 2006 Childcare Act, which means anyone caring for a child for at least 2 hours in any one day or 14 days in a year must register if the carer receives some sort of reward, either money or a reciprocal babysitting arrangement. If the child is cared for at home, it's classed as babysitting and doesn't fall under the rules. Close relatives of the child, like grandparents, siblings, aunts or uncles, are also exempt.
The reciprocal care, it needs to be clarified. Obviously, it's not right if someone's looking after children and being paid for them, but they need to look at every aspect of each individual case and judge them on its own merits.
It's like a hurdle in the way for people who, in Leanne and I's situation, we were lucky in the fact that we were friends, you know, we trust each other with our children, we shared the same job. We were in a sort of unique, lucky situation to be able to do that. It's now like a hurdle's been put in our way, saying, oh, you can't do that.
These mums were shocked to learn the rules.
I think it's absolutely stupid. They moan about people not working, and then when they do work, they moan about how their kids are being looked after.
I think it's ridiculous because you want to know your kids are being well looked after. Someone, just because they're registered, it doesn't mean that you know that they're stable to look after them.
Child safety charities say the ruling defies common sense.
I think it is a gross overreaction because really when you look at the 2006 Act, it was meant to regulate childcare in a kind of business sense, that you had people actually looking after large numbers of children. Now to bring it into the much more sort of informal arrangements between friends and some extended relations, I think it is quite difficult.
The Children's Minister says he will conduct an urgent review of the case, but for Leanne and Lucy, that has come too late. They've already been forced to make alternative arrangements. For thousands of other parents across the country, news of the ruling is likely to cause confusion and bewilderment. Neil Bradford, Anglia News, Milton Keynes.
And of course, we'll bring you any developments on that story.
Now, a village in Suffolk is tonight still coming to terms with an horrific accident which left 8 school children injured when a car ploughed into them.
The incident took place on Friday afternoon when the youngsters were on a supervised walk through the village of Worlingham near Beccles. Today, there were prayers at the school for the injured, and counsellors have been comforting children, their parents and school staff. Malcolm Robertson reports.
It's every parent's worst nightmare, aware that there's a major accident in which children are involved and fearing yours might be among them. On Friday, it happened to Kingsley Lee from Worlingham in Suffolk. He'd got a call from his daughter Olivia's school that there'd been a serious crash. When he arrived at the scene of the accident in the village, the picture was one of carnage. Children from Worlingham Middle School had been badly injured after a car swerved into them as they walked along the pavement. Olivia was trapped under the car.
Of course, as a parent, you saw that many ambulance and fire engines, you sort of like you feel the worst. If not, I wouldn't think the school would call me. It's straight away. By the time I got there, and I had to go right into the middle, Before I get there, I thought, is it my one? Is it my child, to be injured? And then the next thing is for this she's still alive, you know. And by the time I got there, you know, I saw her, you know, she's awake, you know, she's talking to me, and it's a relief.
Olivia suffered 2 broken legs and a broken collarbone. She's likely to be in hospital for up to 6 weeks. 8 children were taken to hospital, along with a man on his way to a funeral at Worlingham Church. Hearing the accident outside, some of those attending the service rushed to help, lifting the car, trapping children underneath. About 25 children from Year 9 had been on a supervised walk around the village.
I just heard the children just screaming and shouting, and I saw the car, it was blue, and I just turned around and I just ran and just trying to jump over the wall, and this lady pulled me over, and then I just started crying because I thought that my friends were really hurt.
The head teacher at Worlingham Middle School told me the atmosphere there today was subdued. He conducted a special assembly, and counsellors were at the school to comfort children, their parents and also school staff.
We had 2 minutes of silence when the children could say their prayers for the people that they felt they needed to, and we sat in silence to think about the people who'd been hurt.
He praised the work of the emergency services, describing it as outstanding. 4 children are still being treated in hospital, though none have life-threatening injuries. A 40-year-old woman from Lowestoft is on bail, having been arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving. The children still in hospital tonight could be there for some time. But there's a definite feeling in this village that as bad as this accident was, it could have been an awful lot worse. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News at Worlingham.
Well, we're joined now by the Vicar of All Saints Church in Worlingham, Susie Ellis, who's been visiting the remaining child in the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital this afternoon. First things first, Reverend, just tell us what the condition of the little girl is.
She's better than I expected. She's had facial lacerations and lacerations around her tummy. So she's being monitored, her kidney and liver are being monitored. She had surgery on Saturday, but she's making good progress. They're hoping to take the stitches out on Thursday.
That's good to hear. It must have been terrifying for everyone involved, including yourself. I mean, what are your memories of Friday afternoon? You were about to conduct a funeral yourself, weren't you?
Yes, I was waiting for the arrival of the hearse, actually, and I was looking in the other direction, heard the crash, and because the funeral was a large one, there were several hundred people outside the church, and there were crowds of people running down. Clearly I could see something major had happened and grabbed somebody and said, phone 999, get an ambulance. I saw people lift the car off, other people rush forward to the children. And there were some children screaming in front, terribly upset, so we got those into the churchyard away from the scene. It was a very confused and quite distressing occurrence.
Yes, you helped out yourself a lot, didn't you?
Well, whatever I could do, yes. I sort of sat with different people at varying times, the ones that looked as if they needed it most, and just generally tried to wait for the news so that we would know how to cope with the rest of it, which was the funeral that was still awaiting.
And of course everybody played their part, even those people involved in the funeral. It brought, in some respects, brought the village together.
They were magnificent, actually. It was the young mourners that lifted the car up. A young man on his way to the funeral got in front of the car to rescue children. He was hit. And another man managed to pull a child to safety just before the car reached her. Members of the church were out helping, praying with, just looking after children, keeping them calm. Neighbours were helping. It was a real community effort. Local police were there, and everyone was superb. Everyone pulled together.
Certainly sounds like it. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Yes, thanks for coming in to recount the story.